guys. Okay, I can already see the DMs I'm going to get. Can we make this a permanent thing? Can we get rid of Andrew for good?
Fired.
I already get them all the time, and now it's going to be even like magnified a billion times because we have Cajun here. I mean, there's just way too much handsome all over the screen, and here we are. Just it's an extra special PWCC premiere episode today, a Cage and Cajun combo. We've done a couple episodes together. They've been pretty well received. I'm sure this is going to be fun because if there's one thing I know Cajun likes, it's winning. But if there's a close second, it's PWCC auctions. I mean, I did an episode with him once where we went over a recap. I can only imagine the preview. Those were the ones that he thought were going to preview. You could talk about all these items in these auctions. So first time doing this. I hope you guys enjoy it. It'll probably be a little different kind of slant here. We'll talk a little bit less about Bitcoin in the auction because there is none. Talk a little bit less about crypto, and Cajun will probably give a little basketball slant. So guys, stick with us for a little while. We'll talk about some cards that both Cajun and I think are worth noting. Different price ranges, different sports, you name it in this PWCC weekly auction. Cajun, welcome. How you doing?
I'm excited. I'm always doing the recaps. Every Monday morning, I get in here and I jam out these top 100 recaps, basketball only. But I'm excited to talk about a bunch of different sports with you. And I'm putting myself out there because I might sound really dumb if you pull up on a honest racing card or some shit like that.
I think I have like 10 cards, and I think the majority fall in basketball with soccer. Like if you throw one soccer in, who I know you can talk about, the guy I'm going to talk about, and the other ones, we'll kind of gloss over, like Pokemon. I can't wait to see your education level on Pokemon. That's going to be
well. Here's the deal: I can't know less than Andrew, so we're going to be all right. You know what I'm saying?
This is very, very true. But how about this? A quick question for you. Going into it, get a different strategy, obviously, than after. I mean, when you're looking at an auction, I mean, you do the recap stuff, which is after the fact. And it's like, okay, I'm looking at these things for like a slant towards, all right, this one sold higher than I thought it would. This one sold lower. Preview something like this where there's thousands of auctions. How do you do? I mean, when you're doing your own strategy to bid on something like this, do you just like filter it by basketball, certain year, certain players? How do you go into an auction like this?
Well, look. Just me personally, my collecting experience. Number one, I only search basketball and soccer because that's my area of expertise, and that's what I collect. I don't collect the other sports, although I can talk relatively intelligently about what's going on in the sport. So look, I do probably 80% of my buying on PWCC weekly auctions and maybe 20% on eBay, or maybe 19% on eBay, and then 1% My Slabs, ComC, of course, IG and Facebook. If I see something that I need, I'm all over that. But for these PWCC auctions, Cage, what I do is, I go to the weekly. I go only to the weekly. First thing you need to do is sort by only the weekly that's ending that Sunday. I don't like to look at stuff that's like 2 Sundays away. You know what I mean? Like If you didn't go to the filters right now and put in PWCC weekly auction 47, you'd also be looking at cards that end like 9 days from now. I don't want to see those cards yet. Right. So you sort it by the weekly auction ending this Sunday. And then I personally sort basketball, and then I sort highest bidder. And then I type in Michael Jordan, PSA 10.
Just Michael Jordan. That's it.
And then I search Michael Jordan BGS 9.5. And then I search Michael Jordan PSA 8. And then recently I've been on a Prism World Cup soccer, 2014 Prism World Cup soccer kind of just joyride, where I'm just kind of figuring that product out.
I would have been on the same joyride. It's funny. I saw the auction that you won, and I'm like, all right, you know what? This could be a nice project. The 6 months, fill in the gaps, find some good stuff. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because you're a New Orleans guy. New Orleans. Pelicans, Grizzlies. Are we seeing a change in the guard here? What do we got?
No. Again, the first thing I always tell people is regular season is not the playoffs.
They're top of the
Regular season's not the playoffs, man. When you get in the playoffs, the games change. They swallow the whistle. You don't know what's going to happen. You got to be there and fail before you can be there and succeed. That's just it. Look, there's decades and decades supporting that. So I can't imagine. I would think the Nuggets. I would think the Warriors. I would think those teams in a 7-game series. The Suns, that they would be a huge problem. The Grizzlies have been there and failed, right? So they're closer, and the Pelicans are a really good, feel-good story. So we'll see, man. They're a really deep team. But Ingram and Zion have never really been there, done that. And I'm not sure you can just show up to the party and win the West. I just don't know if that's possible. Not with Jokic and Steph and maybe a healthy Clippers, maybe a Laker team that makes a move, Cage, you know. The Lakers team is like that. Look, AD is killing it. LeBron seems to be back healthy. You know, let them make a move and bring in another absolute monster somehow if they can squeeze him in with the cap situation, and you may be looking at a totally different Lakers team, 2 months from now. We don't know. So I don't think so. Not yet.
Who do they bring in? Who do the Lakers bring in that's potentially somebody who, can be a difference maker?
I don't know. I just observe from the sidelines. I'm not a salary cap expert, and I know there's issues, and you got to finagle, and the salary that goes out, it's got to match the salary in. I think that they're at the point where I think they've settled that Westbrook's going to be their 6-man guy. So I think that Westbrook and 2 first-round draft picks trades for 2 younger, really good players, I think that might be off the table. But you never know, man. If they lose 6 in a row, it might be right back on the table. I don't know. So we'll see. Who knows, man? I don't know. Pelinka's not the sharpest cat out there either, so I don't.
Well, I mean, listen, I would look at it and I'm like, the last question I have for you, and then we can jump into the auction stuff, is a lot of posts about Zion, right? Zion's putting up crazy video game type numbers, right? But if you look at his, shot chart, you look at, what he's actually doing, it's basically this big, blurb right there, 2 feet from the rim, right?
It's more Giannis than Giannis. It's more Giannis's shot chart than Giannis's shot chart is, right? It's even less occasional missed 3, right? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
I mean, does that matter? I mean, can he be a superstar where every shot he takes is going to be within? I mean, does it matter if he just fills the stat bucket, fills the stats sheet? It doesn't matter that he's not shooting threes?
It doesn't matter right now because he's bigger, stronger, faster. But what we see in the NBA is with Blake Griffin and these guys that are just physical freaks, at some point, the element of verticality and the ability to get by people, then you're going to have to rely on skill. And that's, he's going to hit that spot in his career. Giannis is the same thing, Cage. He's going to hit that spot where, okay, you're going to have to shoot more 16-footers and fadeaways, and you're going to have to make the occasional open 3. But that's a long way off for Zion. I have a feeling he's going to be pretty physical and pretty athletic for a pretty long time. So we'll see. I don't know.
Young kid, and he looks in really great shape. So listen, you're I don't want to say you're our guest today, but you've never done one of these. Do you want to jump on one of your 3 first? Because it might be one of the ones that I've picked out.
No, let's start with yours. Cool. I've only got 3 pulled up, and I didn't put tons of thought into it, but they're intriguing cards, and it begs a lot of questions.
I want to talk about them. I can't. It's like tapping into the brain of Cajun. I can't wait. Okay, so my basketball stuff slants a little young, unproven, you name it, and I want to hear your thoughts about the basketball guys, and then I have obviously one that's clearly the opposite end of the spectrum. But let's start first with Anthony Edwards, and I want to hear your thoughts on him. But there is a 2020 Panini Flawless Anthony Edwards patch auto out of 15 in PSA 9. So if you put in, Edwards Flawless 15, it'll probably pop up right there. And look at you, man. Technologically savvy.
This is not Andrew Goldberg, right? This is not Andrew Goldberg. This is Louisiana technology, baby.
Look at you. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, not for everybody, not the cheapest card. We're doing this about a day before, auction. You're probably listening to this with it'll be less than 24 hours the auction ends, but it's sitting at $13,500. So a couple things, right? Game worn, which is cool. People talk about that, right? This is, Flawless. It's on card. It's a cool looking patch. It's a PSA 9. Tough to get these cards in, great grades, the thick cards in PSA. What do you think about Edwards, and what do you think about the Flawless line if you're going to be trying to buy stuff for, for a young guy like this?
Yeah, starting with the products, you got your National Treasures, your Immaculate, and your Flawless in some order. I don't know what your order is, but game worn matters, and we know that's been a huge topic of conversation recently. I'm not a huge RPA guy. I'm more of a shiny guy, so I would tend to gravitate towards the gold, serial number 10, prism stuff, things like that. And I have my share of RPA cards, but Anthony Edwards is, as far as Anthony Edwards goes, the upside for Anthony Edwards is best player in the world. That's the potential that he has, right? I'm not saying he's going to be, because there's a lot of people on that ladder he's got to surpass, right? To get to the top, he's got to surpass a lot of people between him and them. But I would say already a top 15 scorer in the league. The ability to score the ball easily at this age, LeBron type body, just big, overpowering. I didn't realize he would become a proficient 3-point shooter, a volume 3-point shooter this quick in his career, almost to the point where he's taken a few too many. Like if you're that physically gifted and that physically superior, I think he should play a little more bully ball, Cage. That's just my opinion. But sometimes it takes people time to figure that out, you know? So we're getting to see a glimpse of him right now with no Cat. So Cat's not on the floor. He's been out the last 3 or 4 games. He's going to be out about 6 weeks, I think, minimum, 4 to 6 weeks, maybe something like that. And so we're getting to see him flourish. And it's really him, D'Angelo Russell, and Gobert's not really a scorer. So he and D'Angelo Russell are going to have to put up damn near 60 a night. And so we're in a zone here where if you pick this kind of card up today, I mean, he may run off, 10 games in a row of 30-plus points because he's got to, they got to if they're going to win games. So we'll see.
Why I like this, a couple reasons. Number one, it's the game used. And he was the talk of the offseason. He was I remember at National, everybody was looking for Edwards. I remember, leading up to it, everybody was, this is going to be the guy. He's going to be the Ja Morant. And he did not come out that way. And for some reason, I don't know if, the team did it, he did it. He wasn't dunking as much. So he didn't have that highlight reel, settling. So, I don't know if he's trying to stay healthy. I don't know what the story is there. But I think if he came out hot, this type of card would be significantly higher than it is now, believe it or not. And I think you've hit the nail on the head on this one. Why at this time it's there's got some it's an enticing look right now because he could run off one of those Lillard type streaks here because there's no one else. Someone's got to put the ball in the basket, right? Yeah. So he's you could buy this week and catch the beginning of one of these crazy runs, and everyone's looking for Edwards again. So that's why I looked at it.
Look, if you told me, and it may not be this year, he is so young. I mean, people have to chill. Our expectancy for these young kids is so high, and Doncic is one of the rare ones that has actually lived up to it. But they are so young. I mean, like Tatum's like 24 years old, for God's sakes, and people are like, people are panicking on him, and now we're seeing what he's doing. But if you told me in the next 2 years that Anthony Edwards had a stretch where he scored 47 games in a row, I would not be surprised because I think he has the potential to be a freakishly elite scoring machine. I'm not sure he'll ever transition into that, ability to be the Doncic Harden type, create everything for others. But if you said score the hell out of it, I mean, he's got to be really high on the list as far as potential goes. So, it's
so I can go 1 year before him. I can go 1 year after him. I got a card in basketball. The next two I have are, and I think it's good we can talk about both of them because it's exactly what you're talking about, right? How our expectation level is so great on these guys. And I got one who you know what? I'll go a year younger than him. So we'll go like even more prospecty than Edwards. Okay. It's another guy that people were talking about, and the team doesn't really win too much. So, people have kind of cooled off. I don't hear his name as much. I'm not talking about Scotty Barnes, but I could have been. I'm talking about Jalen Green. There's a 2021 National Treasures NBA 75th Jalen Green rookie patch auto out of 75. So you can put in National Treasures Jalen Green 75. It's a PSA 9. Maybe take the TH off. Yeah, it's not 19. It's 2021.
Oh, yeah, my bad. What am I saying? He was probably not playing in the NBA then.
No. But, 75th for Jalen Green. I like this game. There you go. So before you jump off on Jalen Green, I will say the one thing that is a negative for both the last card and this one for me is, and you talked about the immaculate, the flawless, the National Treasures. It's when I pull these cards up, the first thing I look at is what is the numbering on this? And it could be out of 5, out of 10, out of 15. The Edwards one, which you looked at, was out of 15. It could be out of 25, out of 99. And when I first looked at this, I'm like, oh, is this one out of 99? Oh, no, it's the one out of 75, and it's not the out of 99, which is the true RPA, and it's not out of 25, which is it's a silver and a hollow, and that to me is one negative going forward because one, it confuses the hell out of me. And I'm sure down the road, it will confuse people who are trying to collect the card of the guy. And what scares me a little bit about the last card and this one is you could be right on the player. everything you talked about with Edwards and what we are going to probably talk about now with Jalen Green could be correct. He could turn into that guy who scores 40 points 7 games in a row and maybe wins a championship and the whole deal. But is it the out of 15 flawless that people want? Is it the out of 75 national treasures that people are going to want? So just one of those things. Let's talk to me about Jalen Green and tell me what you think.
Yeah. Well, let me echo what you just said. And that's why I don't buy ultra modern RPAs like the one you're looking at on your screen. Is it a beautiful card? Yes. Is he, a highlight reel waiting to happen? Yeah. Is he starting to come around? Yeah. I mean, he's checking all these boxes, Cage, but you just named 2 parallels, the serial number to 99 and the serial number to 75. That's 174 right there. There's a logo man. I'm sure there's a parallel that's serial number to 10. There's probably a number to 25. There's definitely a horizontal number to 49. Yep. There might be 4 other colors, green, purple, silver, gold. I don't know. Somebody comment below if you've mastered the 2021 National Treasure serial numbered RPAs, but I bet it's over 250.
You didn't even jump into the first of the line.
We haven't even gotten there yet. Stars and Stripes, patriotic, fireworks, whatever. Yeah, so that worries me, and that's also just one product. We haven't talked about flawless. We haven't talked about immaculate. So when you add them up, RPAs for Jalen Green, there might be 1,000. Right? I mean, am I crazy? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Somebody tell me in the comments. I'm not an expert on.
There definitely are. I mean, there might be that many just in national treasures. But if you go across the lines, that's definitely more than 1,000.
Yeah. So, but as far as Jalen Green, the player, I have a vested interest. I actually, the last major prospect that I invested money in was Kevin Porter Jr. So I watch more games than any non-Houstonian in the world on League Pass, probably because I'm watching KPJ, right? And I've got a pretty good chunk of money tied up in Kevin Porter Jr. So I'm watching these guys try to figure it out together. And what wasn't there the first year they were playing together, I'm starting to see it as they actually like each other. So they're starting to like each other. They're starting to figure each other out. It's not just taking turns, although there is still a lot of that going on where it's your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. But it reminds me, and I'm not saying they're on this level, but it reminds me of what we saw in Boston maybe 2 years ago, where everybody was clamoring, Tatum and Brown are the same player. You got to trade one. You got to trade one. And the Celtics were patient with it. And now we see the rewards that have been reaped by them being patient with it, because it used to be them just taking turns isolating on the wing. We're seeing that from these guys. But unlike Tatum and Brown, who are like 24 or 25 years old or whatever, these guys are like 20 and 21 or something nuts like that. And so they've got a long time to grow together. And don't let them get Victor Wembanyama. If they get Victor Wembanyama now, they become must-see TV. Then you can actually watch them on TNT and ESPN like all the other NBA teams. So I like Jalen Green a lot, man. He's the closest thing to Anthony Edwards. They're not built the same, right? But he's a pure scoring machine. That's exactly his job.
I'm going to remember this. It's a December 10th PWCC preview episode. I will be the first one to say Victor Wembanyama will be a bust. No. There you go, guys. Clip it. He will
only if injury. Injury is the only way.
He will be a bust.
Watch more. You got to watch more. No, I'll sell you on it. I'm gonna bring you around. There's no way that guy can be a bust. The instinctual stuff that he shows. No, his instincts are off the charts. This is not Kwame Brown.
You're right. I mean, you were telling me the same thing about Frederick Weiss.
No, I wasn't.
He looked amazing in Europe.
When a human being is shaped that way and he's playing against human beings that are shaped like, let's say, a Joel Embiid, there is the potential that he could get broken in half. Any one of his limbs could be broken in half in any given day. So it's going to be a concern forever, just being built so slightly. But
just look at what happened to Chet Holmgren, right? I mean, look.
Yeah, and that was a foot injury. Yeah, you'd almost rather Chet Holmgren break an arm off instead of a foot injury. Big men foot injuries are never a good thing.
So we went from Edwards, who was the darling of coming into this offseason. Jalen Green was a rookie last year, and so I'm going to go the other direction from Edwards, and I'm going to go to somebody who did take that step last year, and I'm curious whether or not what you think about him. And it's a different card for him. Everybody talks about Ja Morant. There's a million cards for him, but this one's an interesting one, which is why I pulled it out. You might not, basketball and basketball cards, but a lot of people who are listening to this and maybe watching on YouTube don't know this card. I love it. It is a 2019 Panini encased Ja Morant rookie auto 1/1 in PSA 10. This is one of those the white box, with the Panini, they do the white box things, which not a lot of people, there are people out there who just stay away from them. White box, black box, there's a whole bunch. I loved the inscription on this card. You know, if this was not a white box, if it was pack pulled, it would not be sitting at $2,300.
Yeah.
So I pull this out because whether you are I can't do white box, I can't do black box, it's not pack pulled, you name it. If you're a Ja fan and you PC Ja and you build a Ja collection and you wanted to grab a 1-of-1 actual licensed card with a cool, inscription on it and stuff, this one's at $2,300, which I know is a lot of money, but for a Ja 1-of-1 rookie, it's not. So what are your thoughts? Go ahead. I probably touched on a bunch of things.
I've got questions for you. So number one, I understand what the white box is, the black box. Tell me the difference between white box and black box.
I have absolutely no idea.
I don't either. I thought there was a magical answer. I assume this is a situation where you send in a redemption, they don't have it, and so they send you this as a replacement card. Am I right on that? I might sound like an idiot.
I mean, the white box stuff they were giving away, like, you did the redemption stuff. I saw them giving away them at National. You know what I mean? So like Panini White Box was like, all right, you didn't your redemptions, the whole deal. You line up for 2 hours, and we're gonna give you, we're gonna give you here's your white box. Open it up, and it's 1-of-1 in it. So I honestly have no idea because I'm gonna be honest with folks. I do not. This is not. I'm a pack pull guy.
This is not my area of expertise either.
So, so white box, black box. Someone can explain it if you like. But I've had Panini on here, the whole 9 yards, and I've never even thought to have it explained because it's not something I ever was going to. I do know that it is some form of redemption kind of replacement, and I've seen people do it. Oh, I stood online for 4 hours. I got these 2 white boxes. I open it up. It's a 1-of-1. So I know that's what this comes from. You know what I mean?
Here's the deal. Shit, if I'd have known this was a possibility, I'd have stood in that dumb long line in Atlantic City for an hour or two. If I'd have known there was a chance at a card like this, I thought they were giving away stickers or some, stupid crap like that. I've always thought that white box cards were cards that were given as replacements to redemptions. Maybe, and again, I might not have any idea. I've never purchased a white box or a black box, Cage.
Yeah. No, that's but definitely I know what it is. It's definitely a redemption replacement. Yeah.
Pack pulled or not, it's 1-of-1. Again, I don't necessarily collect the encased product either. I think it kind of has mixed reviews in the hobby, along with a couple other of those mid-tier type products that that we see. But my guess is that encased cards come encased, right, in those like sealed Panini things. So someone busted that, sent it to PSA, and it came back a 10.
Correct.
Thick cards like this, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a thick card. Coming back a PSA 10 is pretty rare in my experience. I don't get very many 10s back on the RPAs or the thick cards that I send to PSA. In fact, I don't get many 10s on any cards I send to PSA lately, but especially these thick cards like this, you just don't see 10s very often. So for it to be a 1-of-1 and a 10 is pretty rare. Where are you on that camp of people with 1-of-1 cards about whether to grade or not to grade? You grade your 1-of-1 cards or no?
I mean, an encased one, I probably would definitely leave the way it was. But this person, got a 10 out of it, which I think would add some, some value to it. You know what I mean? So, that's. I normally would not grade a 1-of-1 card because it's a 1-of-1. Grading to me, it's. I've always said grading is a way to set apart or differentiate two exactly the same cards. So even numbered to 10, it makes sense to do it if you think yours is a 10, right? So that would be my story there. But if you have 1-of-1, I've seen them where they grade a 6, and you're like, does that maybe take a little bit of the value away? And you wouldn't want to have that happen. So
What do you think the average person's reasonable expectation for the grade of a raw card is? Do you think it's like a 8.5? Would that be the average of what people expect when they see a raw card? Like raw 1-of-1s, like a PSA 9 1-of-1 is like, okay, that's fine. It's a 1-of-1, it's a PSA 9, whatever. But a PSA 6, like you said, that's probably going to diminish the value. It would probably sell more if it was a 1-of-1 raw, because I think people would expect, if there are people out there that grade 1-of-1s, and my hand's raised, I grade my 1-of-1s just because I want them protected. I just don't want them in a top loader. I think a 6 would diminish the value as opposed to a raw. I think people would prefer a raw because I think their expectation would be, if it's a thick card, I'm probably going to get an 8 or a 9. So I'd say 8.5 is kind of like the reasonable expectation for a raw card.
I mean, I agree with you. I think most people their expectation is that a raw card is a PSA 10.
Yeah.
You know, like straight out of a pack.
You're not saying it's right or logical.
No,
you're just saying that's what it is.
Yeah,
right.
I think most people think if I pull a card out of a pack, unless they look at it, it's like completely off center. If they just put it in a penny sleeve and send it to, to PSA, SGC, whatever, then it should be a 10 on it.
Well, I'm here to tell you that's not correct.
I mean, listen, it's fun stuff. So, I mean, this card to me, you see that? You like the inscription on this?
It's awesome, man. It's badass. And you know what? It speaks Ja Morant, because when you watch him play, literally that guy is out to prove he's the next great one. We were talking about this on my channel the other day, is the next great small player. And I'm going to include for this conversation Steph Curry as the best small player in the world right now. He's 6'4", 195, so he's not that small. 6'3", 195, whatever. Crazy. But is the torch going to be passed to Ja Morant, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young? Who's the next great small guy that the torch is going to be passed to from Steph Curry? I think Ja thinks he's the guy. I think we're going to find out on Christmas Day, because they go at it. It's
so for awesome. Anybody listening, this he has put hashtag beneath no one as an inscription on this, under his autograph. It's a really cool looking card, different card. To me, this checks a lot of boxes if you're a Morant super fan, if you're a Morant collector. And I mean, seriously, like, what does a Morant silver prism that there's thousands of go for, right? I'm sure it's not $2,300, but people were paying that for them. So this is one where I know there's a lot of people who just won't even look at it.
Yeah,
but it checks a box for me, for somebody who's like a Ja fan and doesn't mind that it's a white box, realizing that of course those white box one of ones, they are significantly less valuable than a pack pulled one of one rookie card for Ja. So there's my 3 basketball. You want to sprinkle in one of yours?
I'll sprinkle in a soccer. I've got 2 basketball and 1 soccer pulled up. All so right. let's go. Let me see if I got it. No, that's not it. Here we go. Okay, so the card that I am.
So by the way, that one right there is one of my 10. So if you pull that one up, that's fine. That's why.
Good. Then we have a similar eye. And I spend a lot of time, but I know this card's special, right? So this is, for those who can't see on the screen, this is the 2018 Prism World Cup. We have our 2014 Prism World Cup. You have your 2018 Prism World Cup, and then you have your recently released within 30 days ago, 2022 Qatar Prism World Cup. So this is kind of like the middle child. This is the 2018. It's a Kylian Mbappe rookie blue color match, serial number to 199, and it's a PSA 10. It's not a jersey number. It's card 109 out of 199. But am I going to get in trouble if I use Card Ladder? Is that some kind of – okay, good. Okay, so I got Card Ladder pulled up. That's just what I use because that's my data pricing tool. So I've got the chart pulled up, Cage, and does this remind you of anything? Oh, yeah, every freaking card in the world over the last 2 years. So I've got the last 2 years kind of pulled up here. This card once sold for $25,000. So I'm not here to tell you it's going to go back to $25,000. It might not. It might be the year 3025 that it does. I don't have any idea. But what I do know is Kylian Mbappe is a can't miss. Like, the only thing that can derail him from being one of the GOATs is injury. He's just electric. He's skilled. He's the fastest that I've seen play soccer with the ball. He's got a nose for goals too. There's a lot of really elite speed guys out there that just don't have a nose for goal. He's always around it, man, and he creates so well. He's in the lead for the Golden Boot Award winner for the World Cup. He's got 5 right now. He's probably going to look to add to that today at 12 or 1 or whatever time you're going to watch the France and England game. He's surrounded by absolute studs. France, I guess. I haven't looked. Are they the odds-on favorite to win it? I got to believe they are.
Yeah, right now.
I would think. I don't know. I don't gamble. But and then it's color match. It's serial number to 199. And in a PSA 10, it's only a pop 37. But look where the card's gone, and it's continued to dwindle. The last one sold for $6,600. And this one here is at $5,750 pre-BP. So I guess that puts us probably close to $6,600. And that's just a factor of him running hot. So I guess, the question is your turnaround time is, what is your window? Are you looking to buy cards to flip? Are you looking to buy cards to put in your collection? That's a pretty meaningful, special Kylian Mbappe card, in my opinion.
I like this one. I think what it shows you on the chart here is sort of like a leveling. You see the last three sales. 3 sales ago was right about where this one is, so about
Yep.
7. And
Yep.
the one before was a little higher. And then now we have one that was about 6. This one's going to go, it looks like about 7 because it's right now already at like 68, 6,900 with the buyer's premium. Probably go a little higher than that. My only concern on it is, are we seeing sort of like a mini, what I'm going to call a dead cat bounce because he's in the news now, because it's World Cup, because he probably wins, because people are buying it right now saying, all right, he's a favorite, he's going to win. And then there are other people, not too many with this blue, right? Because there's only 37 PSA 10s anyway of this card. But are people holding their Mbappe's, buying Mbappe now, and then if in 2 weeks he wins the Golden Boot, France wins, you actually see the opposite, which is now a whole bunch of supply get dumped onto the market.
We've seen it.
And that's the only thing that kind of concerns me. But you've made the right point, which is it depends on what your window is. Because if your window on him is I'm going to hold this and be a long-term holder of this, and I can sell him next year when he wins something else, or in 4 years, when the when he wins another World Cup, and he's there's no more Messi and Ronaldo to talk about, and he's a clear-cut best player in the world. All of a sudden, it's a different conversation.
Here's stuff I like to look at, Cage. Is I'll look at other parallels in the same set, saying this is kind of his flagship rookie card, right? So the blue is rare, it's very high end, it's pop 37. Here's his silver. It's only a pop 275. That's not a lot to go around for what a lot of people think is going to be the next in line for, greatness. Haaland, Mbappe, along the same lines as a Ronaldo, a Messi, a Neymar, so his silver is up 37% and it's pop 275. And this is over the last month. And the blue, as we saw, is actually, down 31%. So, I don't know. People you're always asking yourself your question, well, is the silver too high or is the blue too low? You're always asking questions like that in the hobby. And that's kind of what separates the savvy from the not so savvy is, whenever you try to make those comparisons between other cards, well, if this is worth this should be worth this, and then it's, well, was this overpriced in the first place or is this underpriced? You just don't know. That's just kind of learn by doing,
I'm just a little nervous buying soccer cards during the World Cup.
I know we've talked about it. It's not the greatest time. It may be a good time to buy Haaland. It may be a good time to buy Italian players if you're an Italian soccer collector, or somebody that's not. Or it might be a good time to buy Neymar 2 days after he got bounced, or something like that. So I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason. So you're trying to always, Cage. Even when we were in an up market, we're always focusing on timing, and you're an expert at that. You're much better at that. Timing auctions ending around good times, bad times. It's hard to do it in a relatively across the board declining market.
Correct.
It's even harder to do it in a declining market because you don't know what's real and what's not. Is it just the moment that Mbappe cards are up, and is it going to decline along with all the other cards? For the next 90 days, who knows? Who knows? What else? What's next? Give me some weird.
I'm going to throw 2 Pokemon cards out there. We'll spend a minute on each one of them.
Let's go.
But I want people to take a look at them. So you ready?
Let's do it.
I'm going to try to do this easy. So put 2002 Charizard. And let's see. I'm trying to think what it'll come up with. Oh, wow. Mitsuhiro. Mitsuhiro. Hopefully we get this. There we go. Okay, so good. Nice. I gave you a good one. So, guys, I like this one here just as a cool one. It's an artist autograph on one of the top Pokemon cards. You got the 2002 Pokemon Legendary Reverse Holo Charizard signed by Mitsuhiro. It is a it's Mitsuhiro Arita. He's the artist who actually designed this Charizard, did the artwork on these cards, and people like this stuff. He does a little sketch on it. You can see on the slab. It's pretty cool right there on the left side. And this is just one of those, like, if you're a Pokemon collector, real cool card with that added auto of him on the artist on there, and a couple $100 on this one. I like to point out ones that aren't just the same old repeat stuff. And the biggest kind of trend in Pokemon cards over the last year was not what I liked, which is the PSA 10s of the original set. It's real scarcity, real rarity. You can get
throw grade out the window. Just give me something nobody's ever seen before.
So I got one here. It's a 2000 Pokemon Japanese card fan club. So you can put in 6. Just type in 2000. Now put 600.
if that comes up.
Yeah, see if that comes up. Pokemon Fan Club. So there it is, the first one, right? So this is the Fan Club 600 points Shining Magikarp in BGS 9.5. So interesting card here, right? Not cheap because these cards were only made available via tournament when a competitor in the tournament accrued enough Fan Club points. This has a BGS total population of only 3 cards. So you had to be playing in a tournament. These are like trophy cards, which you saw, what was Blake Martinez sold a card and retired, right? These are one of those things where, it wasn't pack pulled, but true crazy lunatic Pokemon collectors. They'll go to Japan, they'll watch the tournament, they'll wait, and when they get awarded, they'll buy it for a bucket of cash from the competitors who were in there. So it's just, I point this one out because it is one that you just don't see that often. Entire BGS population on this is 3. And I know there are Pokemon collectors who look at this auction, and this one's a pretty cool one that just, we talk about, cards that aren't going to come up in next week, next month, or even next year's auction. This is one of them. So I know, it's a little weird. It's a fish, by the way.
It looks like an angler fish. Isn't that what they're called?
Yes, it's a fish. Magikarp's it's a fun little fish. So there you go. I want to do 2 Pokemon ones for you. I got a couple other ones. You want to throw in one of your basketballs?
Let's go one of my basketballs.
Yeah, let's do it.
I can't believe I'm even going to mention this, but Anthony Davis. We've got a mutual friend who's recently dabbled into Anthony Davis because he likes to try to play the market. And again, I always try to be as transparent as possible. I own one Anthony Davis card in my entire collection. It's the base Prism from 2012. So I don't. It's not like I'm an Anthony Davis collector. I would never pump and dump Anthony Davis because I don't own him. But this card kind of stuck out to me. In Cage, what I like to do when I look at cards like this is kind of compare players and look at other players from the same rookie class, same exact card, same exact grade, and sort of look at prices. And so this one's at $825. It's a 3-figure card today. I don't obviously think it's going to end there at $825. It better not. Even I would be interested in the card at $825, and I am not a big Anthony Davis fan. But like I've got pulled up Klay Thompson's 8.5, for instance, most recently sold for $4,050. That's basically 5 times what the Anthony Davis is at right now. And I know Klay is a little bit more decorated from a team success standpoint. But from a player standpoint, I don't know. What do you think? Who's the better player? Who's got the better statistical, just purely individual resume? Is it Klay Thompson or Anthony Davis? If you go look at all NBAs, if you look at all defensive teams, if you look at points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, who's really the better player? It's an interesting question. Here's the Anthony Davis card.
The real answer I have is potential upside, right? So Davis has more upside, I think, than
Klay. Clay's on the down, right? Yeah.
But just from a card perspective, he may win another championship this year. They could win again, but I think it's already baked in. It's Klay is clearly somebody who's a winner, but he's a winner because he's with Steph and he's had great teams and he's been a great complement to the best man on the team. Anthony Davis has a chance to take the next step and become the best player on a team that goes and wins a championship. That could change the value of the card. So while Davis is worth less now, I could see Davis's cards moving up more than that. Klay, definitely.
If Golden State wins a title, it won't be because of Klay. If the Lakers somehow, and neither one of us are sitting here saying, go put your money on the Lakers, but if they won a title, would LeBron be a really, crucial component? Of course. But it will be because we continue to see Anthony Davis destroy the league like he's doing right now. Again, I'm very nervous about Anthony Davis always staying healthy. People have been burned too many times before. So I'm not a buyer for this card, but I've got kind of what the card sold for pulled up in the Card Ladder sales history. And if you just consider what's happened in 2022 this year, 4,080, 2,520, 2,880. Those are the BGS 8.5 auto 10s. And so this one's at 800.
Significantly more than what it's at now. Yeah.
And he's on a heater, man. So it's a card to look at, at least to monitor it. Click the little favorites button. That's the other thing is you can click the favorites button and just kind of, bookmark basically some cards that you want to check out Sunday at around 5 p.m. You know what I mean? Before the auction ends. You may not want to go in here and bid $1,200 and try to steal it, but just click the little star button that you'll see. Like if I back out of here, this star button, boom, I just hit Anthony Davis favorites. So now if I go up here, Cage, on the PWCC interface and click favorites, it's going to pull up every card that I favorited within these search filters, right? Which is highest, sorted by highest, auction number 47, basketball only, Anthony Davis. So you can search all your favorites and then make your decision last minute. I know a lot of people like to snipe. I'm not one of those people. I just put in the price that I think the card's worth, and if I get it at that price, I'm happy. And if I don't,
but it's good, especially with the thousands of cards that are in here. If you favorite them ahead of time, you're not trying to scroll through. Oh, whatever, where's that one? Oh, no. Now you got it in your favorites, and it's right there. So let me do two cards that I think we can do quickly. I pulled these out because this is a time, one of those strategies. People are like, hey, if I wanted to jump back in because prices are down and I don't need to buy PSA 10s and I just want to start building up a nice collection of good cards, not cheap, but good cards, but in grades that are collectible. What would you recommend? And there are two of them here on the PWCC Weekly. Number one, it's a Brady. It's the 2000 SP Authentic Tom Brady rookie. This card is numbered out of 1250. And there's a PSA 8. All right. So there's an 8 on this one in this auction. Really nice card, numbered. So, that you're buying something that even though, you're not paying PSA 10 prices for it, there's only 1,250 of these. It's a Brady rookie. Who he is. His cards have taken a little bit of a beating. I mean, you've heard all kinds of rumors. I heard a rumor he's going to go back to New England next year. I mean, there's all kinds of craziness. He may retire. Who knows? This is a guy I think there's a floor in. There's only 1,250 of these cards. This card is recently graded. It's a card that probably if it was graded last year, 2 years, 3 years ago, it would be a 9, might even be a 10. It is a really nice looking 8. It's amazing that we have to say that. It's not a perfect card, but it is something you can buy. Tough card to find. Obvious, scarcity of the GOAT for the NFL, and you can buy it at a decent price. It just checks a box of, questions that I get about like, hey, if I had $10,000 to spend, where would you buy? I want to buy GOATs. I can't buy PSA 10s, but this one checked a box.
Yeah.
All right. Next one.
I have not paid much attention to the Brady card market because I'm not an owner of any, but he's in that zone where we see it in every sport, man. We saw it with Pujols in baseball. We saw it with Kobe towards the end of his career in basketball. We see it with guys, like Blake Griffin, Carmelo. Their cards are going to go through a phase where they actually dip in price because of the recency bias that we have as human beings. We forget about their greatness. We saw with Dwayne Wade towards the end of his career. We saw with Jordan when he was on the Wizards, right? Even though that was kind of pre-hobby explosion. There's going to be an opportunity to buy Brady. I haven't paid attention to his prices. Do you think
they're coming down?
Do you think him playing 2 more years will cause those prices to come down even more? Would his cards kind of settle if he said, you know what, screw it, I'm retiring? If he just called it quits, would that be better for his cards long term?
I think either way they dip in the short. Either way they dip in the short term. I do.
Yeah.
I think retiring doesn't look. And then you have a chance to appreciate him, just like you said. A couple of years, the same thing. I see people trading Tom Brady cards for Jalen Hurts cards. That's how I know that what you're saying is correct, because a lot of what builds up this hobby and the collector base are people who want to watch the games and transact based on what's going on right now on the field. So, with that being part of the hobby, there are people who'd rather be able to ride, and I would call it gamble a little bit, ride the momentum and pick up somebody now who, in a couple months, because of the play on the field, they're going to be able to turn that around quick. You're probably not going to be able to do that with Brady, although sneaky, he's still right now in line for a home playoff game. I'm not saying he wins the Super Bowl and stuff, but he will find a way on a bad team that's basically 500 to get in the playoffs and play meaningful football. Just what Tom Brady finds a way to do,
Yeah. Cage, it's funny how different the hobby is and how diverse. I'm doing the exact opposite of what you just described. I would obviously, I don't own Jalen Hurts either, but like in the basketball world, you guys know me, I'm all basketball. Like I'm moving De'Aaron Fox, I'm moving Anthony Simons, I'm moving John Morant, I'm moving Donovan Mitchell's, I'm moving Jaylen Brown's and Tatum's and those cards to get into more Jordan, to get into more like D Wade stuff that I think's underpriced, to get into more Hakeem Olajuwon stuff that I think's underpriced, to more 90s stuff. So I'm going the exact opposite direction. I'd be curious in the comments below. I get it. Prospecting is so damn fun. And I tell myself, stop doing it, but it's like, shit, man. It's like, that's my replacement for sports gambling.
Correct.
And for daily fantasy and daily prop betting and stuff like that. I love prospecting. I can't get away from it. but it always comes back back into my brain that you can't do it forever. Like there's so many of them out there. There's just so
Right,
many.
it has a
Jalen
shelf
Hurts.
life, but I mean, it's what makes the hobby fun, right? There's no
Yes,
one way to do it, so you can do a
and
little bit of both.
you can make crazy money if you are savvy at doing that. It's been done. There's a lot of people that became cardboard millionaires doing it over the last 3 years, so
Sure.
it certainly can be done. Short term investing is definitely viable, no
The
question about
same
that.
category, and this is one. It's not obviously football has a track record of cards.
Yep.
People have been collecting for a long time. These fringe sports don't, so the prices on these have come down. A lot of price discovery, and also there's no true quote rookie. I talk about Muhammad Ali all the time, but there is a 1960 Hemmets. It's Hemmets. That should be enough for this to come up. What I'm going to look at is the PSA 6. There it is.
Yeah.
The PSA 6 on this. This is a really nice 6 from an eye appeal. It has an eye appeal designation of top 15% PWCC E. Real nice looking, recently graded card of his. These have come down a lot in price. There are higher grades out there, but it's exactly the same thing I talked about with that Brady. If somebody's looking to build up a collection of GOATs, a collection of cards that are just like, wow, you pull that out, wow, look, it's Ali's first card. This is from a journal. In 1960, it came in like a binder, believe it or not.
What country?
Tiny little binder. His stuff was from Sweden, I believe, right?
I was going to say it looks like Norwegian or Swedish or somewhere, Finland
there
or
was
something.
I think the first stuff for him was Swedish. The 60, this is from Sweden, I think, and then 1962 Swedish Record is a magazine that has a cut card with him and one other person on the front of it. Pele has one of those also. But this came before that. This was actually, it was like a Sports Star journal. It was a tiny little binder. I put maybe like 5x7. I've seen the full binders actually, like raw binders. And this card is one of 4 on a page, and you'd cut out the 4 of them. But
I've got one question.
Shoot.
Why the hell is it a 6? Look at it.
It looks like it's really nice,
it
right?
looks like an 8 or a 9. I mean, the centering is pretty bang up considering it was a hand cut by some kid with scissors.
I think there's probably a little surface stuff on it. There's
gotta be
a little fuzz on the surface. I think
the back is off center, obviously.
The back. But I mean, but that's what happens when you cut a
Damn.
journal. It's a really nice looking card, and people just look at the, here's a 6. It's going to be worth less. I mean, like I said, you had $10,000. You could grab this. You can grab the Brady. You can grab something else, and now you're putting a nice collection together of clear-cut GOATs. And these are the kind of things that I try to look at when PWCC has an auction, because something like this will get lost. People are looking for those Jalen Greens. They're looking for the basketball stuff. This week they're looking for Jalen Hurts. They're probably not looking for what amounts to a 23-year-old. A 63-year-old, Muhammad Ali Hemmets journal card. But to me, this is a really cool card. And let's stick with legendary. I don't have too much more, but stick with legendary. 2003 Upper Deck Legends, Bill Russell. So we did some basketball. We went with young guys. We went with Jalen Greens. We went with the young players. I mean, this is about as cool as you get, right? I mean, look at this one. BGS Pop, 1 of 6 with 7 higher. It's a 9 with a 10 auto. Legendary signatures. You're the basketball guy. Talk to me a little bit about Bill Russell, his place. Is he underappreciated? You got an autographed Bill Russell card here for what's a $1,500 current bid. What do you think?
I'm not the greatest guy to hype a Bill Russell card because I'm wilt over Bill. I'll just say that right now. I'm a very selfish basketball player. I like to get buckets. I was probably more about myself than about the team, so I identify with the great Wilt the Stilt, the Big Dipper. But Russell's greatness can't be denied. He's inextricably stuck in the conversation about Rushmore. Like, no matter what happens for the rest of eternity, just like Brady, we're never going to see somebody accumulate more titles, in my opinion. Not while you and me are breathing, Cage. So in basketball, Russell's got so many rings, so many titles. He just means so much more off the court. I mean, look, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. He's just the same as Jackie Robinson. His off the court influence and the respect amongst his peers and whatnot. This is a really badass set. I've actually got the Jordan and Jim Mint. Same thing. I've only got 2 Jordan autograph cards.
On card, right? This
on card. Yeah, I've only got 2 Jordan autograph cards in my whole collection, and one of them is this legendary signatures card. So I like the set.
Guys, this was 03. So Bill Russell, I mean, he signed some stuff. You guys have seen his stuff. You've seen it in Exquisite. You've seen, all kinds of different stuff. But, for somebody like Bill Russell and just what he meant to the sport, there's not enough of his autographs to go around. And this was back, I'm pretty sure if you zoom in on the back, they didn't send stickers to the guys. They sent them the cards. And Bill Russell sends the card back, and I think it even says that like in the certificate on the back.
Bill
like,
Russell touched the damn card.
Yeah, Bill Russell, this card, not just the sticker that got slapped on, and they slapped on a bunch of cards. Like this card, Bill Russell had this card, was holding it, signed it, sent it back. So that's where you get the on card fun stuff. It's it's a little bit different, and you're talking about legendary signature for a price range. That the person who emailed me about the 10,000, I did these 3 in a row because you probably for around that $10,000 can hit a Bill Russell on-card auto, a numbered Brady rookie, and a really nice looking Muhammad Ali rookie. You're starting to put a nice GOAT collection together. Yeah, greats. I don't know, Bill Russell might not be the GOAT. He's the GOAT team player. I don't want to upset your Wilt fandom.
No, but he's not going anywhere. Those are 3 cards you pick up for $10,000 and you can sleep at night. One of the first cards we showed, Jalen Green or Ja Morant, you gotta pay attention to watch box scores, make sure they don't get hit by a train or something like that. These other 3 guys, man, you can sleep like a baby at night because they're not going anywhere. People will be talking about them long after we're gone. So
we have one more each. I know mine's not the same as yours because it's a football play. What I'm going to do is I'll give mine. We'll be quick, and then I'll let you close it with yours because we don't get to talk to you that often.
Mine is actually a Fran Tarkenton. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. I'm just kidding.
I would shut up and let you talk about Fran
Nobody
Tarkenton.
wants to hear me talk about football. I can promise you that, unless they want to get a good laugh.
You did a whole bunch of stuff, right? Go ahead. Let's
I've got this pulled up. I've got the PSA 886 Fleer set. For those of the people out there that listen to any of my content, you know the way I feel about 86 Fleer PSA 8 sets, and I'll be honest. I'm always transparent. I got 3 of these sets, and I'm not interested in buying another one. But I'm also not interested in selling it because that's kind of the foundation of my collection is the 86 Fleer set. So this PSA 8 set, it's 132 of the base cards and 11 of the stickers. For those of you out there collecting, I don't think it's a set unless you have the stickers. Cage, I don't know if you agree with me on that, but people all the time are like, I've got the 86 Fleer set, but they don't have the stickers. I was like, well, you don't really have the set. So 143 out of 143, all PSA 8. Anytime you guys are bidding on an 86 Fleer set, whether it's PSA 10, PSA 8, PSA 9, PSA 7, go look at the 2 Jordans very, very closely because the condition and the quality of those 2 Jordans, and remember, not all 8s are the same, the condition of those 2 Jordans will go a long way in determining the value of the set as a whole. Generally speaking, at least it used to be this way. I haven't looked at prices recently, but if you add up the Jordan base and you add up the Jordan sticker together, those 2 cards usually come out to about half of what the entire 143 card set's worth. That's just kind of used to be a general rule of thumb. I guess it still holds today. I've got pulled up on Card Ladder sales history the last few PSA 8 sets with stickers that have sold. Golden just sold one. What is that? 14 days ago for $15,600. PWCC Weekly sold one about a month ago for $16,200. The one before that, Golden sold $19,200. The one before that, PWCC Premier, $16,800. So you're probably looking at a 15 to 17 range, depending again on the quality of what those 2 Jordans look like. This one's at 8,500, Cage. So it's one of those deals where this is what I would do. Boom. If this thing doesn't get to 10,000, honestly, I know not everybody has the luxury, but I'd probably go put a $10,000 bid in there. Just based off what the last few have done. That's like what is that? 70% of what the last 4 sales have been. So just a set to keep an eye on. And another one of those things where you can sleep at night knowing, I think it's the most iconic set in the history of basketball. 69 Topps, 61 Fleer, 97 Metal Universe, 96 Chrome, 86 Fleer. I got to believe 86 Fleer is without question the most collected set in the history of basketball. So I like that as a relatively affordable piece of history right there.
I mean, do the stars sell in PSA 8 today? I mean, what do you get for a Drexler or a Ewing?
Oh, they've dwindled. I mean, you're here. We'll look it up. It's real quick. 86 Fleer, Chris Mullen, PSA 8. $85, $65, $73, 80, 65.
Yeah, I mean, you get something for them. It's a
not
big set.
Rare cards. Yeah, not rare cards, not rare in PSA 8 even. but it's history, man. I mean, it's not going anywhere. That set's not going anywhere over the course of time. The PSA 10s is where all hell breaks loose and they get super expensive because those are, pop 100, pop 200, for some of the Hall of Fame rookie cards. But for this price point, picking up the entire set in one fell swoop is pretty cool. And honestly, I mean, if you pick the thing up at, let's say 11 grand, there's breakup value there. Right? If you want to put in the work, if you're diligent and you're intelligent and you want to go list and put in all that work, there's going to be breakup value there, especially if you can move some of these on IG or Facebook or something like that.
100% correct. That's what I was thinking. That's why I asked what they sell for, because it'd be one of those things where you could either move the Jordans and get back a ton of it and have everything else, close to very, very low cost, or sell everything else and keep the Jordans at a lower price if that's what you are so inclined to do. So I have one card we can talk 1 minute and wrap this up, right? And we'll keep it in under an hour. And I'd love to know what the comments say. You're a football guy, Kyler Murray. I'd love to know whether you guys are just is this just throwing money away now, or do we think maybe this is somebody who still has a run in him? So there is in this weekly auction something that last year would have been premier worthy. It's the 2019 National Treasures Kyler Murray RPA, true RPA out of 99. It's a BGS 9 mint. So it's a Kyler RPA. I mean, it is a key rookie for him.
Holy crap.
Look at this. So are there other ones in this?
There was one more, but it wasn't the same card.
Yep. So this is, I mean, obviously, guys, this is not the true RPA, right? He's got this is the horizontal one, not the vertical. But I mean, when I say premier, his out of 99 vertical was a premier one. This is the horizontal. It's still out of 99. I know it's a 9.9, but look what this is selling for: $230 right now. $230 for an RPA.
Cage, you know more than me about autographs. Tell me why it's a 9 autograph. And again, I understand placement when it's off card or off sticker or something like that, but is there more to it?
Looks like he skipped a little bit.
Streaking? Is it streak?
It looks like So it looks like he picked the pen up for a second.
So like over here in this section where it's just kind of faded a little more.
Faded, yes. And then also I think in his name itself, also you see it again there. So I mean that's one of those real subjective things that different grading companies do.
Yeah.
But I mean I think they probably had a couple of his autos together and were like, okay, this does not look as good as the other ones. Look, this one has a full signature. That loop on the K is kind of like
Cage. What would you do if you own this card right now? I'm curious because I know exactly what I would do. What would you do if you owned this card right now?
Are you cracking it out and resubmitting it? Because I mean, listen,
and then what? And resubmitting it, and I'm not getting the autograph graded.
Yeah, I think Beckett's changing it where if you're sending it back to Beckett, they're not putting autograph grades on that are lower than a 10. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like what SGC does also.
Yeah, but we'll know that it's not a 10, obviously. But what if you just send it to PSA and say, grade the card for me? And it comes back to PSA 9. PSA 9 is worth more than a BGS 9.9 for sure.
I mean, I would take a look at the condition of the card. I'd take a look at the corners, the whole deal. PSA, it's tough. PSA, this is a BGS 9. PSA might give this a 7. It depends on what it looks like. They're tough. The thick cards like this are tough. They even get banged around in a.
You got the lightning on the edges down here.
See, that would be tough. Because you see these cards that have white and they have the red or they have blue, the white shows up on the edges, just like you just found. But at $230, look at this card. I mean, if the question for somebody out there is, are you a Kyler collector? Are you a Kyler person? Is next year a year where Kyler might actually show up? They put a game plan around them. He's got a great wide receiver. Do those guys start off 4-0, 5-0, and people are looking at a card like this as a 4-figure card again instead of $230? Is this, somebody have enough of a window there where, okay, I'm going to take this one, I'm going to put it away. I mean, you're now talking about, pretty low downside. Or I'd love to know in the chat, have we given up on Kyler Murray? Has the run already come and gone? Is he now in like Sam Darnold territory? Is he one that like, okay, any money you're putting into him is wasted money now?
I have a tremendous amount of respect for anybody who NFL football quarterback prospects at a high level. I don't understand it. It just seems to me like just throwing darts to me. But There's guys that we thought were can't miss. They're really missing bad. And then there's guys that were like, who the hell is this cat? And now he's an absolute monster. It seems like it's 50-50 to me. And it seems like it's completely arbitrary and random. And so much of it hinges on your receivers, your coaching staff, the situation you're in, your line, for God's sakes.
I'm going to give Andrew credit, although it's going to be impossible logistics to come out with it because Panini is just coming out with like draft products now as the season starts to end. But he had a great idea of Panini putting out a product called just backup quarterbacks, where the only ones in the product are like Cooper Rush.
People love to dumpster dive. Yeah.
Brock Purdy.
Who's next in line?
Let's go,
give me who's next in line because these pennies on the dollar. What if, right? We got 6 seconds. Cage, we can do it. Oh, we're gonna miss it.
All right, guys, listen, this is it. Enjoy the PWCC auction. We'd love to hear your comments on some of the takes on this one. There's a lot of really nice cards this week, and with prices where they are now, it's a time to maybe jump in on a new player. Is it time to, build up that collection? Is it time to find a card like that Murray or, like that Muhammad Ali, cards where, the prices have come down on them where you can really put them in your collection and either speculate on somebody or just, build up the collection you have. A Chow Morant 1-of-1 rookie card for a couple $1,000. Lots of cool stuff that we threw out there. Is Mbappe the next big thing? Are you going to pick up a Mbappe in this one like Cajun says? We appreciate you kind of hanging out with us for an hour and enjoy the auction, guys.
Yep. Enjoy the World Cup too. Thanks for watching, fellas.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo Mai. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com. or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.